all you miraculous people to BS Fandom Fun Times. I'm Belle the B.
And I'm Sophia the S.
And today we're going to be looking at some more details in the upcoming episodes. But first,
Anansi, all you knows!
I also was pronouncing it wrong the whole time last time. I kept saying Anansi, it's Anansi, and I'm like, oops!
Yes.
As soon as I heard Marinette say Anansi, I was like, oh crap, I was saying it wrong.
I know, I laughed as soon as I heard you pronounce the name. I was like, nope, you've been pronouncing it wrong this entire time. You know what? It's fine.
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, world. Ah, crap.
But all you knows!
All you knows! What the frick?
But how?
Yeah, thanks for reading the actual script.
Script? We don't use a script.
Not technically, but there's at least bullet points, okay?
There's
Anyway.
a difference between notes and scripts. We're unscripted. We are very much real.
If you can't tell. Anyway, so all you knows, but how? I have been going into the depths of the universe right now. I'm still working on the answer to that. Here's the deal. Okay.
I'll bring up my theory, but you go first.
Okay. Here's the deal. Alia doesn't recognize Carapace. She doesn't see him and go, oh my gosh, it's Nino, as soon as she sees him. No, she shows that she knows who he might be, keyword might be, when he says dude and goes, Ladybug. That's when she looks at him with suspicion and goes, wait a second. And then he saves her and they're staring at each other into their eyes and I'm like, aw, shit. Anyway.
Whoosh. What is that sound?
So from my hypothesis right now, which I'm still trying to work out the kinks and trying to figure out exactly what the miraculous powers do. It has something to do with their personality change as well as their mask. The reason I say this, personality change is kind of obvious. You know, Adrian is very reserved versus Chat is very flirtatious and out there.
Puns.
You know, and the puns. And then Marinette is very, I hesitate to say clumsy, but she is clumsy. She's just more, well, you know what, I'm not going to say clumsy, I'm going to say unsure of herself. Because while I was watching Origins episode, at the very beginning, or not the beginning of the episode, but the beginning of Ladybug, she's very clumsy. Why is this? Because Marinette, as Ladybug, is unsure of herself. She continues to be unsure of herself until she gets to the stadium and she's like, hey-ah, wah! And she shows off her non-clumsy Ladybug side that we know today. And that happens again later on too. It's something that happens, and I've realized that her clumsiness is a state of mind and not just Marinette being Marinette. It's a state of mind.
Yeah, it makes sense that she's gained confidence from that.
Yeah. So, but there's still that personality change because Marinette's still unsure of herself as herself, Marinette, versus herself as Ladybug. And Ladybug shows that confidence and everything we need. The reason I say the masks specifically and not the suits is because of the episode Frightingale, where we see them, both Adrian and Marinette, in their own suits without their masks because obviously it was a music video and they hid the mask so they wouldn't be found out. So all you recognize is, I'm just going to say, that they look a lot like the real Ladybug and Cat Noir.
But there's no possible way they could be.
Yeah, and then when they start hesitating and they start acting like their reserved selves, she's like, now they look nothing like them. Personality.
Very true.
Okay, go ahead with yours theory.
Oh, well, I was
unless I stole it from you.
No, I was going a different way from that in terms of how Alia knows.
Okay.
So yeah, that was...
Yeah, go ahead.
So, we see Alia stuck to the spider web, and there's only 5 people in the setting. Anansi, obviously Alia, Nino, Marinette, and Adrian.
Right.
Or I'll use their superhero names I'm using.
We get it. The general idea. We know
Ladybug chat.
We know
that whole thing. About. So, I would think that since Alia's got, well, really nothing else to do except just kind of like watch and see which help is arriving, we noticed that Ladybug whisks Nino away, and I'm assuming Alia's probably already noticed this as well, and then she whisks Nino away and just so happens to come back with a new superhero. Now she's like, okay, probably new. I can't see very well from this spider web. I have no idea who this person could be. And he's obviously got like a little more bravery to him than Nino was kind of like fumbling around and like trying to help out but wasn't really working out that much.
It was so cute watching him try.
I know.
I was like, oh my gosh.
I was so touched.
I was like,
so touching. So touching. And then Chat's like, you have a really good friend. I'm like, shut up!
It's not just a friend! Adrian, it's not just a friend! He can't tell the difference! Okay, I'm sorry.
He really can't.
I kind of peeked the mic there for a minute. I'm okay now.
Breathe.
I can't. I don't have time to breathe. I've got a shit happening. Okay, so what you're saying... Okay, so you're saying it's because Nino's now absent when he was there like 2 seconds earlier.
Yeah, and then just so happens to come back with a new superhero. And she's like, wow, this is so cool. So we can obviously tell she still suspects nothing. Mm-hmm. And she's like, wow, look at this, a new superhero for my lady blog. What's your name? And then he's kind of like stuttering. He's like, what's a name? Okay, here's my name.
Yeah. Well, I think that was actually her acting because she shows that she knows before that.
I almost wonder, see, and that's another thing that I wanted to bring up. I almost wonder if she knew the entire time and was only acting for the sake of Ladybug and Adrian.
That's what I wanted to know too, which is why I went back and started rewatching all the episodes. There is no episode except for Origins where it appears for a second that she might actually know based off of her interaction with Nino and her look at Carapace. Based off of that, the only time when there's like a hint of that same face, that same realization face, is in Origins, but that realization ends up being, oh, Marinette, you're just scared.
But see, that was before Alia was a superhero herself.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If Alia knew who Marinette was, she hasn't changed her personality. Yeah. Alia, that is. Hasn't changed her personality at all. She's still the same rambunctious girl that's going to go after everything. And, you know, she's brave, she's stubborn, all that stuff. Yeah. She's still the same person she was in Origins. Mm-hmm. She would have done the same thing to Marinette. Maybe in a different way, especially since it was the very beginning of Ladybug period, but she would have done it. It just doesn't quite match up. And even when Ladybug in the Origins episode calls out for Alia and yells, Alia, the tap! There's no recognition before or after. The only person that questions whether or not or why Ladybug knows their name is Ivan. Ivan's the only one that questions it. Alia just comes back up and gets on her lady blog and is like, yeah. So maybe she does know. Maybe she's known since the beginning. I don't know. It's really hard for me to say whether it is or not because it's just so not obvious for the Ladybug part of it.
And I think it's maybe you're right. Maybe she does know. And because she knows that she has to keep her identity a secret because she's been given her own Miraculous. Yeah, she doesn't get it. She doesn't get to hold on to it like Ladybug and Chat do. But she knows now about how she needs to keep her identity a secret.
But then why would she tell Nino that she knows?
That is a good point.
That's my problem. Alia, you're giving me a headache here. For more than that, and I'll explain that bit later, too. I'm going on a rant later, okay? Alia, you've are the devil.
Warned. You've been warned.
Alia, you are killing me. Okay. Can I also mention in the Anansi episode?
Anansi.
I'm trying, okay? In the Anansi episode, the Adrianette bit. Oh my gosh. He's like, oh, I wish I had somebody to do stuff like that with, and they both look away from each other. I'm like, oh my god. I died. I was like, yes. I watched that one bit so many times over and over.
And I got the snaps for it. I got the Snapchats for it.
By the way, I'll explain later why I was looking so hard at phones. I was looking at the phone to see who it was.
Oh gosh, here we go.
It was Marinette's phone. That means that Adrian is Marinette's number now, and I'm so happy because the ladybug wasn't on it. By the way, in case you're wondering, Marinette's phone is white embroidered with a black back. That's what I figured out.
She's gone into a deep observation for just cell phones.
Okay, I'm gonna explain that later. But first, let's discuss what's coming up this next Monday. Sandboy.
Oh my gosh, Sandboy does come out!
Yeah!
Sorry, I forgot.
No, it's okay. That's why we do this, so we could try to... Okay.
It's okay, remember, Sandboy.
So here's the plot of Sandboy off of my memory, so forgive me for stammering, because I will. So here's the deal. So we've got, obviously it's Nuru's birthday, so Tiki and Plag are going to the Miraculous box. Can I just say, I've seen a screenshot going around the YouTubes, and it's of Master Fu, who I'm assuming is asleep, and they're all sneaking around him to do what they're wanting to do, because Master Fu does not want the Kwamis to go away from their holders, just in case there's trouble in Paris, which there will be, hint, hint, obviously.
When is there not?
But, so we see Master Fu laying down, flat on his back on his little mat, and there's a book covering his face, and everybody's been like, what's happened to Fu? Is he dead? Making jokes. Obviously, he's probably asleep anyway. Anyway, so, yeah.
Probably.
That just cracked me up. But that picture's been surfing the web for a while now.
That's open to interpretation. Is Master Fu dead or asleep? Let us know in the comments below.
Next week. Anyway. So obviously, Plag and Tiki are not with Adrian and Marinette, which might be a problem. We'll see. There is a supervillain. Name is Sandboy. And, Sandman does the dream stuff. That's basically what Sandboy is. He makes nightmares come to life, basically. I say come to life and I think of puppeteer, but come to life, whatever. But yeah, so he makes nightmares, and they have to Marinette. It specifies Marinette. I just want to say it specifies Marinette. It does not specify Adrian when I looked at it on the wiki. So, and I hate using Wikipedia, but sometimes that's all I have. But yeah, it specifies Marinette. It didn't say anything about Adrian, so I don't know what Adrian's doing there in this time. We did get a glimpse for a spoiler preview, and Plag sneaks around Adrian by making a doll of himself and putting it under covers.
Seriously?
Yeah. At least I'm assuming that's what he was doing, was sneaking around Adrian to go to the thing.
Really, Plag?
I know. I was like, really?
How original.
Plag, what the frick? It's so bad. I'm like, oh my gosh. Anyway.
You know it's Plag, because he put minimal effort into that.
It looks so bad, too. But yeah, y'all look up the spoiler trailer if you want to see
Belle.
it. What?
Sugar Cube.
Sugar Cube. He calls her Sugar Cube. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited, y'all. Okay. Anyway, so Kwami-filled episode. We see all of the Kwami. Guys, all of the Kwami. They're going to be there. Okay, so anyway. And basically, Marinette has to stop, without Tiki, has to stop the nightmares of the Parisians from coming to life. That's about the description. Yay. And the curious thing is, are we going to see, and I'm assuming we are, Ladybug, / Marinette's and Adrian's worst nightmares? Ooh. And if so, will we be seeing, like, what would you, like, when I think of Marinette's biggest nightmare is that people find out it's her and hate her, or Adrian finds out it's her and doesn't like her.
Yeah.
But I can't figure out what Adrian's would be, because I don't think it would have anything to do, unless maybe it's like
family
Ladybug.
Rooted. I want to say family rooted.
Maybe. But
something
what would
family
it be?
Rooted. Maybe something related to his mother?
But his mother's gone already. What else is
there? Or
there?
Is she?
Well, no, she is. She's gone. Where she is, if she's alive, I don't know, but she is gone. Well, I don't know. That's something to think about, and we'll definitely, eventually, maybe, we'll definitely be watching Sandboy anyway. We'll see about timing-wise whether or not we end up discussing it. That depends on when the next Miraculous episode is coming out. By the way, that's when we do these things, is when there's a new episode coming out that following Monday. Just so y'all have a time-wise reference.
And this is specifically for Miraculous episodes. Ruby has yet
Ruby,
to be.
Like all the other stuff that we do and will be doing, has their own timeline thing, and it's always going to be on Thursdays unless we suddenly can't do it on Thursdays and have to change the date. But yeah, all the boring stuff out of the way.
Anyways,
that's that. So I'm going to actually skip in this bullet point list we have to Maledictator, because I found out the other day, meaning yesterday, that, or maybe it was the day before, I don't know, but that October 7th should be the release of Maledictator, at least in France. I say at least because I don't know if the US version is coming out then at the same time. I doubt it, but I know that the France release is October 7th. Again, should be October 7th, because
lucky French people.
You know how Miraculous scheduling works, if you're a fan. So, we also got, though, for Maledictator, the spoiler trailer. Or, I keep calling it a spoiler trailer. It's really not a spoiler. It's just a trailer, but I call it that anyway, just in case y'all are
the
like...
The sneak peek for Maledictator.
Thank you. All right, so... Obviously, we already knew about the fact that it was going to be Andre Bourgeois getting akumatized, and that Audrey Bourgeois and Chloe were basically the reason why, because they were leaving. So, trying to see, but there's a weird little part that we see, and it's with Chloe. And it's when she's recording herself as, what was her, Queen Bee. I think it's Queen Bee, right? Something like that. Yeah, I think it's Queen Bee. I think Queen Wasp was like her evil name or something like that. I don't know. You would think I know, but I don't. So,
yeah, and I've forgotten the name too, so.
Yeah, so you're no help.
Not right now, at least.
Yeah, well. Anyway, but...
What is that supposed to mean?
Anyway, so we see her recording as her superheroine self, but we know it's not actually her costume. So, that begs the question of where she got that costume from. Yeah. And why the heck she's recording herself.
I thought it was her costume. When you showed me the spoiler trailer, I thought it was.
Here's the reason I'm saying it's not. In her normal, in her costume, when she's a superhero, versus when she is just dressed normally, she's got her glasses on her head.
Right.
But not as a superhero.
Huh.
Or at least I don't think so.
I'll have to go back and look at that again. I've watched the trailer twice now. And honestly, from what I saw, was it looked like she had the costume on. Nice piano playing there, dude. Or girl. Anyways. Yeah, this is what happens when you record in the music hall practice rooms.
Anyways.
It looked like she was in her Queen Bee costume. We're going to call it her Queen Bee costume until we can come up with another name for it or we find out the actual name. But it looked like she already had violated the whole keep your identity secret thing, and it looked like she went into a recording studio to get an interview for like, oh my gosh, another superhero. Well, and she's like, yes, and I'll provide you an interview.
Yeah, and here's the thing with that too is that we see in that same clip, like right after we see that part, that Ladybug gives her the Miraculous, which is another, well, maybe it's not during the same time period, but Ladybug gives her the Miraculous, and we see in the background behind Ladybug her set that she uses for her little tea party, whatever it was she did when she recorded herself.
Mm-hmm.
So we see that. Hold on, give me a second. My phone's over here. I'm going to look up to see exactly what she wears as Queen Bee, because I'm pretty sure she doesn't have glasses on. So say something while I look this up.
Queen Bee.
Okay, no, she doesn't. She's got a little feather thing which is her clip, but she doesn't have any glasses on her head or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I can see that.
And that's another thing, too, is I don't think she has her Miraculous actually on her head like that in the thing. I think she... So,
might
obviously...
be slipped in her ponytail.
So, I want to say, though, do y'all understand what this means? Maybe not after this one, but this is not the first time, first off, that she's had the Miraculous. Obviously, Style Queen is going to come before Maledictator. Maybe not episode-wise, but chronologically... in the timeline, it will.
Oh my.
I'll explain why I say timeline like this in a second.
Another warning. It's coming.
Okay. It's going to be the next thing we talk about. All right. Okay, so obviously after Queen Bee, she does give the Miraculous back to Ladybug. Or whoever it is she gives it back to. She gives it back, my guess is, to Ladybug. Because otherwise, she wouldn't have gotten to open it first off in Style Queen. She's very surprised, by the way, in Style Queen, not expecting pollen. In Maledictator, though, when she opened it, she was very happy and followed the light with a smiling face. By the way, oh my gosh, it's so cute. She's so happy to see pollen. I know, me calling Chloe cute? What is this? What is this? Anyway,
it's been a weird week. It's been a weird, really exhausting week for you.
Oh my gosh. It's a good thing this piano we're recording on isn't on, because I just would have played some weird notes right there.
Distortion.
Okay, so I guess now it's time to talk about what I have been doing, my little project.
And brace yourselves.
Okay,
brace
so
for impact.
Shut up. Okay, so after watching Carapace come and Alia's notice of Nino, like I said before, I decided to rewatch the episodes from beginning to end as much as I could to really dig in and try to find out what exactly is the deal with the miraculous powers. I watched the first and second episode and then went, you know what? I really ought to make a timeline for this thing too. Boy, was I stupid. So I'm not plugging it or anything, but I have a Wattpad, which if y'all don't know, that's where you can write your own stories and stuff. And
she's written a great fan fiction too.
I
love it.
I wrote my first fan fiction for Miraculous. Well, my first fan fiction ever. Thank you. For Miraculous Ladybug though, and it was called Miraculous: The In-Betweens, where I was sticking, and I only did one because this is when I figured, I can make a timeline, and then I can do the in-betweens of the timeline episodes. So I did the one between, which ones was it? It was Troublemaker and Reflector. I continued on, and after Troublemaker, and I added so that it equal to Reflector and so on or whatever. So that was my goal, was to do that. And that is also, and the reason I'm mentioning it is that is part of the reason why I am doing this timeline. Okay. Alia. Alia's the other reason. Because I was so confused on why she could figure out Nino and not Marinette. And I still am. I've gotten through season 1 with very extensive notes. I think it's like 15 or something pages of very extensive notes.
Wait, front and back?
Well, it's pages. It's
yeah.
like on my computer. I typed up notes. I didn't actually write. That would kill my hand. But I thought, this is why I'm mad at Alia. Not only is she not making sense when it comes to learning identities, but I thought when I was watching it, Alia gets a new phone in Lady Wi-Fi. That is a fact. She gets a new phone. So I was like, oh, I can use her phone to figure out when stuff happens before Lady Wi-Fi and after Lady Wi-Fi. Stop laughing. And so I am very upset about this, okay? And so I looked, I complained about this just before we started recording too. And so I looked at her phone very carefully, because we see a lot of Alia's phone in these episodes, so I figure this would work. Shut up. And her phone is silver bordered with a black back, which is why I knew that Marinette's phone was white. Anyway, I gotta cool myself down, because this
channel the energy into the podcast.
Whew, I'm working it. Okay. All right. So I'm sorry. This is just. I went to bed about like 1 o'clock, almost 12 o'clock, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and that's not you. That's not normal for you.
No, it's not. So
You're usually out by like 10.
Then I had to wake up early this morning. My brother woke me up early this morning too. Earlier. So anyway. That's not the point. Point is I'm tired. So I looked at Alia's phone before she transformed, and it was because during her transformation, her phone is Lady Wi-Fi's phone. It's no longer Alia's phone, and it's just completely different in general. So I ignored that phone. But before she transformed, it had the silver. After she transformed, and when she got her new phone, it was blue embroidered. I was like, oh my gosh. There's a difference. I can see the difference. This is awesome. And so I started watching all the other episodes for Alia's phone. And I specifically went to Alia's phone because I'd already watched like all of the episodes already. Not all of them. I stopped at at the Origins episodes. Well, I did go a couple after that, but just for reference materials. So I went back and I looked at them. And I was like, okay, so this one, she's got silver, this one looks blue, this one looks silver, this one, going back and forth. And then I get to Copycat, where I see her phone laying down on Marinette's bed during she's calling Adrian, and it's red embroidered. And I stopped and I went, excuse me, why you red? And I was like, wait a second, what the heck is this? How many phones does Alia have? Like, I was like, what is this? This doesn't make any sense. Why is the phone red now? And so I was like, wait a second. Is her phone just always silver? And so I looked back at the episodes again. And yes, her phone is always silver. You want to know why it looked blue?
Because it reflected the sky.
It reflected the sky. You know peeking the mic again. I was so mad. I'm going to back away because I need to yell this. I was so mad that freaking Alia's phone ended up being a silver color that was just reflecting the freaking lights around her. But I still don't understand why the heck her phone was red in Marinette's room because, what? Like, that is,
red mixed with silver?
Bumped the piano.
I don't know.
No, it just didn't make sense because her Marinette's room is pink. So, I'd understand like a lightish red tint around. Sorry, that's a red versus blue podcast there. It would have been like a lightish red color.
I'm having donut go through my head now.
A slightly pink color go around the silver. But not full on red, because if you look at that episode, it's full on red. Okay.
The producers are messing with you.
Yeah.
And pink mixed with silver makes red.
Now, let me go back and not be mad at Alia for a second. I'm pulling up right now the timeline that I've got right now based off of not Alia's phone, but thanks a lot, Alia.
That's why you don't follow objects. Objects are always going to change.
Yeah, I tried to follow Marinette's diary as well. That didn't work out well for me. I didn't last very long on that one because she makes her diary box, which is why I was specifically looking for the box in Darkblade. And so I looked at episodes that came before Darkblade at her desks, and there's no box, and I was like, okay, this could be helpful. And then I looked at the episodes that came after, but there's still no box, so it didn't actually help me. I don't know where she hides her diary. I guess it's in a drawer somewhere. I'm like, okay, great.
So anyway, just a piece of advice for any fangirls out there who are trying to create timelines of their own
Don't
shows.
Follow Alia's phone. It doesn't work.
Or any objects in general. The producers do. I don't think the producers pay that much attention to the objects like the fangirls do. So, never follow an object.
I'm so done. Okay, anyway. So now I want to just kind of go over what I did come up with, which simply to say very few dates, like actual dates. And those dates I got from the calendar in Marinette's room. So, except for Dark Cupid. Dark Cupid's obviously on Valentine's Day. They say it's on Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day is the same day as America and France, which is February 14th. And if y'all are like in France and are like, no, it's not, it's a different day for some reason, or if it actually is a different day, I don't care.
What kind of accent was that?
I don't know. It's an old woman accent somehow. Anyway, that's not the point. It's just a voice I did, okay? Just shut up. It's not like me impersonating a French person. If I was doing that, I think I'd do a different voice. It was just me being like, you're wrong. Why? Shut up. Okay, anyway. But I know for a fact it's on the 14th because Valentine's Day is on the 14th of February on Marinette's calendar. Again, Marinette's calendar, completely wrong when it comes to month dates because February goes up to like the 30th or the 31st on her calendar. So I'm granting leniency for this show being in a different time universe.
Time universe?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's in a different universe, but the time difference, there's some kind of time difference there, too.
Again, don't follow objects, or you'll end up like Belle.
This object, though, is very helpful. So, then I looked at the calendar very closely, and I had some, okay, I'm tired, shut up. And I had some help by, yes, you just yawned, thank you. I had some help by a YouTuber, which I don't know their name right now, and I know I need to start remembering the names, but she kind of went over the calendar in general. If you look up Adrian's calendar on YouTube, I'm sure you'll find her on there.
Interesting.
And just basically all the French words and everything that's on there. Because there's a lot of stuff on Marinette's calendar for Adrian. And
I wonder why.
Well, because she likes to know where he is at all times. Oh, I put my phone over there. I was going to pull it up so I could show you. I mean, I can't show the audience, so I guess it doesn't matter anyway. If I can't get it across to you, I guess it wouldn't work anyway. Anyway, so I'm saying anyway a lot. I just noticed that.
Anyway.
Anywho, so I figured out 2 different dates for the episode Copycat, and I figured out when Adrian's birthday is, theoretically speaking. And I'm going to say all of this is my theoretical speaking because it's not, like, specified in the actual episode itself. This is just based around the calendar and the time that all this stuff is happening, supposedly.
And all the late nights you been up.
The very late nights that
theorizing
I've been staying up this past couple weeks. Or, no, not even a couple. Oh my gosh, it's only been a week since the last episode came out. Oh. Okay, anyway, so yeah, because I started this a few days after Anansi. Okay, so let's go over. I'm sure y'all are all dying to know when I think Adrian's birthday is. So, based off of the calendar, everything has a very obvious either picture or word next to it. Like there's, and I'm not going to pronounce these as French words because I pronounced Anansi as Anansi, and y'all know I can't speak French. So,
and neither can I.
Yeah. So, we know that, like, there's a vacation day. There is, actually, it says on the calendar, like, lunch with Thomas, which we can only assume is lunch with Thomas Asterisk. Like, he put himself in there. It's got all his fencing lessons, which is going to come into play later, which is always on a Friday. It has his Chinese lessons. It has any kind of holidays. It has a lot of stuff on there. And, yeah, again, go to that, find that video that I was talking about. Sorry, I don't remember the name. Maybe I'll put it in the description, so y'all can see it. But man, there's a lot of stuff on there. And Adrian's birthday, okay. So there was 2 spaces that I was a little bit confused about for Adrian's birthday. Because there was only 2 spaces that she, the YouTuber I watched, couldn't exactly describe. Okay, and they were both in May. So one was May 1st and the other was May 14th. May 1st had this weird, and now that I look at it, now it doesn't look weird because now I know what it is, but it had this weird, like, flower, like, glowing green thing with white dots on it. It looked glowing because of the white dots and stuff.
Yeah.
And the space was pink. The reason I specified that it's pink is because all of the pink dates on her calendar are holidays. May 14th, however, had nothing on it, written on it. It just had 2 hearts in the little, and on the end of the thing. And so I was like, okay, based off of the hearts, we can assume that this is something love related, something maybe romantic happened that day and she's remembering it or something, because obviously, again, this is specific to Adrian since this is his calendar she's stalking him on. And
gotta love our
so
Marinette.
I went on Google and I looked up May 1st to see, one, if I could figure out what the heck that glowing thing was, and 2, to see if there was a specific holiday on May 1st and what it was. There is a specific holiday, which, you know, obviously I would have figured from the pink space, you would think.
Yeah.
I thought maybe she put the pink space on there for his birthday because, you know, to her that might be a holiday. It's not. What it is, and probably I'm saying the wrong name for it or whatever, but it's a May Day of Flowers or something like that.
Interesting.
That green glowing thing is a stem, and those white dots are the flowers. Because every single Google image picture I looked at had green with white flowers.
Oh, that's so cool.
So, because I found that, I figured out what the heck that thing was. It's the weirdest looking shape. If you look at her picture, it's the weirdest looking shape. So, that leaves May 14th as the day of Adrian's birthday. Now, some of y'all might be thinking, well, what if his birthday doesn't range from January to when it ends in like May, June, July, somewhere around there? I think it's June. So what if it doesn't range from January to June? What if it's like in September? Here's how I know it's on the calendar. I don't remember how long ago this was, but a while back, somebody tweeted and asked Thomas Astruck, hey, when's Adrian's birthday? I want to know. And he sent, and Astruck responded with a picture of the calendar and said, here you go, it's on the calendar.
Wow.
That's how I know it's on the calendar, and that's how I deduced that it is May 14th. So.
Whoever posted that on Twitter, thank you.
Yeah.
The fangirls of the Ladybug Miraculous fandom.
Thank you for asking the question we all wanted to know, and thank you, Astruck, for answering it. Because sometimes they don't answer the questions. Although I will say my favorite response tweet from him is when somebody asked him if we're actually going to see Adrianette as a real couple, and he went, fandom exploding, and 3, 2, 1. Yes. And I died. It's one of my backgrounds on my computer now. I'm just waiting.
Fandom explodes. And you've heard it, viewers. We will get Adrianette. Probably not anytime soon because fandom producers are cruel that way. But we will.
That reminds me, though, before I go on with when I believe Copycat happened and why I believe Copycat happens before Bubbler, which is Adrian's birthday episode, I just want to say, for season 3, if you look up season 3 of Miraculous, you'll get a overview of it. Whether it's accurate or not, I don't exactly know. It's on the Miraculous wiki, which is usually the specific fandom wikis are usually correct. I say usually because sometimes there can be some problems, and sometimes, especially with a season 3 overview, things can change.
Yeah.
Because we're not to season 3 yet. We're in 2. But the overview states that Marinette and Adrian have become friends, and now they're in college. So, yay if Adrian is legal age now. Anyway,
it makes our stalking, interest in him.
It makes our admiration of him.
Yes, admiration.
Legal. So anyway.
Who knows how it works in France?
I will say, though, because I was looking all this stuff up, I also researched high schools in France, and while I haven't gotten all the information I want yet out of it, I did get the information that their 10th grade is much like America's, and the age range, which is 15 to 16-year-olds. Adrian and Marinette just turned 14.
Yeah, that's where I kind of raised
during 10th grade. I'm not really sure about this.
That's just maybe a flaw in
the thought process. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that I don't remember who said it, but one of the creators said it. It might have been Astruck. It might have been somebody else. I don't remember. Said that the ages of Adrian and Marinette aren't really 14 anymore. They just use that for their birthday, but it's whatever whoever's watching it sees them as.
Mm.
I understand why they're doing that, especially now that I see the 10th grade thing, the abnormality there. But that, when they say that immediately messes up any bit of timeline. So I'm going to ignore that comment for now. And just pretend that they turned 15 instead, so it makes more sense. Or honestly, even turned 16, because I don't know. It just doesn't make too much sense. But whatever. That's not the point.
Could just be a technical flaw.
Right. So, okay. Let's go back into it then with Copycat. So this one I had a little bit more trouble with figuring out the exact date. Obviously, I knew it had to be on a Friday after school because Marinette specifies that he has fencing after school Fridays. Thank you, Marinette. So I knew it had to be on a Friday. And when she pulls down, this is when we first see her schedule of Adrian's schedule. When she pulls it down, she points with her ruler to a spot on the calendar. Now, when I was watching this, I swear I tried. My screen was so blurry, though, I couldn't tell where she was pointing. I got a general idea, but I couldn't really tell. I knew it was somewhere between April and May, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And then I got a closer look, but it didn't show where she was actually pointing. It just showed her arm going up, and you could see a bit of the ruler. Based off of that trajectory, this sounds so, like, theoretical, but based off of that I said it first time.
Trajectory.
Oh my gosh. English. Anyway, based off of the trajectory.
What is trajectory?
Based off the point of the ruler. I said it the first time. Y'all know I can speak. Anyway, I got the date of April 11th. Then, while I was researching when Adrian's birthday might be, I saw a very clear picture of that far away shot of Marinette pointing. So I zoomed in and I looked at it and I realized she was pointing to May. And she was pointing above his birthday. And that May date was May 8th. So, either April 11th or May 8th is the day Copycat happens. I think it's probably going to be May 8th because that was the first place she pointed and it was a little less lackluster than when she pointed the second time because she did have her arm more bent and she wasn't, as far as I could tell, on her tiptoes that time or whatever because she was kind of, because schedule's up high and she does move while she's, when she comes back down and Ollie is like, you're crazy, you know, whatever. She does move a little bit away from those dates anyway, so it's possible that she pointed again and it just looked like she was pointing to April this time because she moved away. So I'm gonna go with the date of May 8th. Either way though, that happens before the bubbler. So Copycat may in fact have happened before the bubbler, or, and this is my problem with Dark Cupid as well, it happens a year later. I don't think that it actually happens a year later. I think it does happen before. And that would mean that Dark Cupid happens, Copycat happens. There might be stuff in between this. I don't know yet. I'm trying to figure it out. But Dark Cupid would happen, Copycat would happen, and then Bubbler. In that order. I have a lot of issues with this. Not just in general, although yes. But I have a lot of issues with this based off of the personalities and the way we see Adrian and Marinette, as well as Cat Noir and Ladybug, react to each other. It's very frustrating. And now y'all know why I've had so many sleepless nights.
All thanks to Ladybug.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy. It's driving me up a wall.
Oh, we know.
But I do feel like at least a year has lapsed since Origin episode, which is obviously the first episode in the series. Yeah. Timeline-wise, is the Origins 1 and 2, which I deducted based off of my high school research that Origins episodes happen in September. I specified 4th and 5th just because that was the most common date start time I saw, but sometime in September it happens, which means, and another thing is that the classes end around in July, which means that they have the same September to July kind of, although ours start in August, so it starts a little earlier, but the same kind of amount of time And man, I tell you what, I had a problem with, I've looked up my notes, but I had a problem with one of the episodes. Oh, which one was it? It was Copycat. I forgot. Man, Copycat just drove me insane. First there was Alia's phone, and then there was the freaking date distinction that I couldn't make for a while until I finally figured it out.
Alia and Copycat, the reason why Belle can't sleep.
Anyway, so I had a problem because Marinette said he's fencing after school on Fridays. So my question when I made a comment in my listing of comments stuff, I said, so was he just without a phone all weekend? Because she gives it back to him at school. I was like, if it's that big a problem, he would have already gotten a new phone. Then I looked up the French stuff and all that kind of whatever.
French stuff.
And it turns out there are some schools in France that have school on Saturdays. So, while I'm not saying that this is something that happens all the time or anything during Miraculous, that they have school every Saturday or anything, I believe that at least this time there was a Saturday school day so that Marinette could get the phone back.
No, that actually does make sense. I mean, I've been able to travel to Paris. I went in June, and I saw kids touring around Notre Dame Cathedral, and they all had their school uniforms on. So, I don't remember specifically what day. I'll have to go through my old photos. But, yeah, gotta love how we've been having some crazy weather. It looks like it's finally, or stormy weather, I should say. Love how we've been having some stormy, crazy weather.
Can I also say, speaking of stormy weather, Aurora, who's the stormy weather's name, citizen name, Aurora is the only person to ever try to fight off an Akuma.
Oh my gosh,
she's the only citizen to ever try to fight off an Akuma, because that Akuma comes through the elevator, and she's like, she freaks out and she starts swatting at it with her umbrella, which is what the Akuma wanted to Akumatize anyway, so it didn't really matter. But the fact that she went for it, she was like, no, get away from me, like, you had that, and I was like, oh, all right, people, all right. All right. Like, looking back at it again the second time, the first time through, you're like, oh, this thing must be bad, and that's probably why they did it, because Stormy Weather was the first episode. I looked it up. It is, I know on the YouTube sometimes they're like, oh, Bubbler was the first episode. No, it was definitely Stormy Weather. I looked up the dates of releases. It was Stormy Weather, just saying. Anyway, sorry.
She fact-checked it.
I have had this argument
legit.
with so many people. That's why I'm like...
It's legit.
Dying inside.
She has the notes, and she'll fight you on it.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and start closing this out a little bit. Honestly, I wish I could talk all day about this stuff, because there's so many notes that I've made, like...
15 pages, as you said before.
4,545 words.
Oh, my Lord.
Worth of research that I've got. And I'm not even done.
Girl, you be writing a novel. You need to post this on your Wattpad.
All I've gotten to
do that. Post the notes on the Wattpad for the viewers.
No, they don't want to see it. Sometimes I just freak out. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm sorry. I know I said I was going to close out.
I love how you say freak out, and then I look at the notes and I see slow dance and there's letters. Not even words, but just letters.
And then I scream at the end right there.
He doesn't even ask her. He just chants at L-E-K-J
capitalized. They're still dancing together. Like, I was so excited. Okay, no.
Umbrella.
Wait,
scene.
umbrella
the umbrella.
No. Oh crap. Which one is it? This one. This is a true freak out right here. Like, I accidentally did all this.
Oh my.
So, and Simon Says, I forgot how much of a Ladrian shipper I am. Like, I was like, oh yeah, I love all the ships. I can't help it, except for Marichat. I'm sorry. I don't get it yet. Maybe later, but I don't get it yet. But other than that one, though, I I was like, I love all the ships, the Lady Noir, the Ladrian, and the
Adrianette.
And the Adrianette. Yeah, I love all of them equally. And then I saw Simon Says again, and I was like, screaming on the inside, and I freaked out because I had forgotten how much I absolutely love Ladrian. And when he pushes Nino away, and he's like, hello. And she's like, hello. Are you sure you're okay? And he's like, I'm fine, really. I was like, oh. I died. I was like, oh my god. It's so cute. Also, can I just say I love how Nino just like stands there and like during that whole interaction, he just stares at Adrian the whole time with like this look of almost like dumbfoundedness on his face. He's just like, whoa, dude, you got a crush on Ladybug. You know, like in his mind, I'm sure he's thinking that. But he's just like staring at Adrian. He's just like, until Adrian says, but we have to go. My father's in trouble. And then Nino breaks his contact from Adrian and looks over at Ladybug. But like,
does she share the same glance?
Oh my god, it's so cute. Okay. So
rein it in, girl. Rein it in.
Honestly, I could keep going because now I'm looking at my notes again. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's another fact I should point out, but I really shouldn't. But is that Nino and Simon Says is allowed in the house. Now, I know that Gabriel Agreste... No, I know you're looking at me weird now. Yeah. In Bubbler, he specifically says, you're no longer allowed... You're a bad influence, you're no longer allowed in this house.
Right.
And and obviously he knew Nino was there for Adrian, either because of the age difference, obviously, between the two, or just because, I don't know, he just didn't have an appointment or something. I don't know. But Nino is allowed into the house, though it's his first time in Adrian's room, and Simon Says. The reason I put that down is because Gabriel may be a lot of things, but he's not really that forgetful.
Not that forgiving or forgetful.
Forgiving nor forgetful, no.
Yeah.
And so, if he was really offended, as he seemed to be in Bubbler, by Nino, wouldn't have he remembered that and kicked him out? He wouldn't have cared if he was feeding him to the wolves or whatever, feeding him Simon Says. He wouldn't have cared. He would have just been like, get out of my house. I told you never to come back here again. You know, or something like that. But we don't get that. He didn't look at Nino.
Is it possible that Simon Says then comes before Bubbler?
Exactly. So that's why I was looking at that. I was like, oh my gosh, this is killing me.
Also, do you want to talk about that defiant look, though? But also, he hugs his son. But is it only for the darned ring? Yeah,
I wrote that down somewhere. Also, I put down... Because, you know, Ladybug is staring at... And I'm trying to find it. Oh, there it is. Ladybug is staring at Adrian's pictures on the wall with Gabriel, and Gabriel just has a humble brag of how perfect his son is to Ladybug.
Oh,
he's like, isn't he flawless? And she's like, what? What?
Turns
and she's
into
like,
stuttering
my son,
mess.
isn't he the picture of perfection? And she's like, oh yeah, he's perfect. I mean, I don't know him that well, but I mean, he seems like he'd be. And then he talks about her earrings. It's
kind of like raise his eyebrow.
Yeah. Anyway, but so that happens, you know, all that stuff. So there's a lot to go off of, and I'm gonna go ahead and end it here before I go too crazy and continue talking.
And breaking the mic.
Yeah, that too. I've probably done that quite a few times now. Sorry, Alia, I got mad at you. I don't forgive you yet until you give me real answers, but that's okay.
We'll leave a warning in the description. Your ears may pop.
Earbud warning. I'll check the audio and see if I can fix it, but whatever. Point is, that's going to be all for today before I continue on and go crazy again. So we will see all you miraculous people next time.
After.
Enjoy Sandboy. And we will see you. before the next episode comes out. Goodbye. And, found it!